How did you screw with computers at school? My high school had a program on all the computers that would allow the teachers to watch an entire classroom screens, take control of them, send content to them, etc. A friend of mine came up an idea to try to use it to prank the classroom, being the r/I am very smart 16-year-olds we were. So, when my teacher wasn't looking, I put a USB stick into her computer and copied her SPA program eggs directory onto it to take a look at what was different between the teacher and student versions. Turns out all you needed to make the student version a teacher version was a 25 character license key that was in a plain text file. So, obviously, I copied it and upgraded my client to a controller using all of my teacher settings. We then proceeded to rickroll the classroom on full volume from 34 computers. It was pretty great. At the end of the class we came up with a great idea. What would happen if we took control of our teacher's computer and messed with her? So, we connected to her computer, but she had been watching our screen from her screen. So, for about 5 seconds we see a bottomless pit of our screen and her screen mirrors over and over and over. After about 5 seconds, our PC fans got super loud and then shut off. When we tried to turn it back on, it was a black screen with only a flashing underscore in the top left corner. That PC had to be re-imaged by district tech support. Still not sure what caused that. Not me, but I remember at my old school someone managed to disable the H key on lots of the computers. If you were typing and tried to press H, you would get an error message saying like, sorry, but the H key on this computer is currently disabled. Please try again later. Somebody threw a Molotov cocktail into the window of a computer lab at my school. It was over a weekend, thankfully, so nobody was there, but it destroyed all of the computers in the room. My friend and I got blamed for it because the teacher whose lab it was thought we didn't like her, which we didn't. Thankfully our alibi was that we were on a plane flying back from a school exchange trip to Belgium when the damage occurred. There were several teachers on the flight to corroborate our story. That, and, plane tickets. Unplugged mouse from back of computers 1 and 2. Switch the plugs, but leave the mice where they were. Mouse in front of computer 1 is now plugged into computer 2 and vice versa. Watch the hilarity ensue. In 201, I think, friends and I installed StarCraft Deep in my high school's file network, accessible on every computer in the building, and we had it programmed to run without a disk. You would still need a CD key to play, but hacked/false CD keys were easy back in the day. We passed out false CD keys to those who knew to ask us, and since it was all on the shared network, you could land from basically anywhere in the building. This was right around the time when computers were becoming really prevalent in schools, not just with computer labs, but many classes now had multiple computers, or were specifically just on computers. So, we'd end up organizing these pretty large StarCraft battles across the school. Even got to the point where, in drafting class, where the teacher absolutely didn't care what we were doing, my 2 friends and I, huge nerds, if that wasn't obvious, would play some of the jocks in the class who loved StarCraft. We didn't just break into the system to have fun, we also broke down barriers to make life better. Our school network ran on Windows 4 work grups 3.0. Machines were locked down, so you couldn't run your own programs on them. However, we discovered, if you put a modified WinINI file that allowed you to install your own programs in a network drive that came before where the lockdown version was stored, it would use that, and you could install stuff. And that was my first introduction to Doom multiplayer. Soundboards. Holy shit, we were little demons in middle school with those things. My personal favorites were either Arnold Schwarzenegger or Pulp Fiction. When the teacher would ask if there any questions, from the back of the class you would hear in a thunderous voice, "Who is your daddy, and what does he do?" Followed by an eruption of laughter, also following up any time the teacher said, "That's correct" with "Correctamundo." If you're reading this milliseconds, Jadish, I'm so sorry. We pretty much ran the network. It was up or down at our whim. The entire network used hubs, and this was right as routers were becoming a thing, so they were not yet economical. We would shut down the entire network with a repeating ping command in DOS, set to maximum packet size. It was far too simple. We wouldn't usually do it for long, just enough for everyone to think it was a hiccup, and to see if we could. Our computer class was actually really awesome. The assigned modules were easy, and once we were finished our teacher would let us do our own thing. Turns out, our school had an entire computer graveyard. We would go in there, find parts, and build entire computers. Eventually we had a separate network of 8 or 10 machines that we used exclusively for Quake 2 and the original Halo. One day the school came in and removed our separate gaming computers. We were pissed. The network was down for quite a while. My school had one of those annoying monitoring programs, so the librarian could quickly see what you were doing and take control. And usually the ass would just turn the computer off. Someone found out then, when she started watching, a small square appeared in the top left corner of the screen. If you right click this square you could reverse the control and take her computer over. Someone took over and rather quickly hit delete on the Windows folder. It didn't work, but it helped stop the overbearing watchful eye of the shitty librarian. So computer class for most of grade school was nothing more than endless typing classes. She sells seashells by the seashore and other tongue twisters to get us practicing home rows and typing quickly. Absolutely mind-numbingly dull. Sure, getting to play Commander Keen or Wolfenstein after was nice, but the reward was nowhere near worth the effort to reach it, and the teacher would constantly get frustrated with me ditching home rows and finishing faster and accurately without them. So one day, with us both being frustrated with each other, I restarted the computer and opened the BIOS setup utility and started changing random settings to random values. Child me was vindictive. This probably shows my age, but we'd open BASIC and write a little program that went something like this. 10 will print you suck. 20 go to 10. Then we'd edit the shortcut to a popular program, say millisecond word, to link to this program instead. When an unsuspecting user clicked to open what they thought was a legit program, instead they'd be treated to the dot matrix printer screeching out you suck, you suck, you suck, forever. Only way to stop it was to find and terminate the program. Powering down the printer and turning it back on again wouldn't do it. My school district used Macs pretty much everywhere. A couple of the most common pranks. There was a key combination that would invert all the colors on the screen. It was all the meter keys and 8. It was a lot of fun to do this to someone who left their computer unattended and didn't know that. One of the function keys, I think F11, would move all the windows to the outside edge of the screen, showing the desktop. Pushing it again moved them back, but there was an animation associated with both of the movements. If you held shift while tapping F11, it would do the same thing, but with the animation slowed down. The thing is, it didn't matter if the animation had completed or not. The machine would queue up another action for each time you hit F11, but wouldn't cancel the animation in progress. So if you were quick enough and someone wasn't paying attention, talking to their neighbor, looking a book, etc., you could lean over, spam shift plus F11 a few dozen times and effectively force them to watch all their windows slide in and out at a snail's pace for a minute or two. Shift plus PRINTSCREN to capture desktop. Open Paint. CTRL plus V. Rotate image upside down and save. Set image as desktop background. Auto hide taskbar. On desktop, right click, view, uncheck show desktop icons. Laugh at random victims attempting to use computer